Here we go, here we go, here we go. Oop, mind that, dodge that, there we go. So, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Wednesday walk. Oh, my, what a half week it's been so far. What a half week it's been. We've still got, of course, the COVID inquiry, or at least the inquiry of the judicial review into the COVID inquiry that's about to also kick off to determine whether or not the Cabinet Office can basically hold information back from the public inquiry. Rishi's over in America trying to get a trade deal. Suella's, well, up to her old tricks in Parliament. And Kimmy Badenoch got an absolute roasting on the Brexit subcommittee. We'll be going over that later. But Pretty Bird, good morning to you. Hold on, I can't see that. The Failure Cure, good morning to you. I think I've hopefully said that right. But yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning to you all, and like I say, what an interesting week I think this is turning out to be. And bear in mind, we're about to go into the summer parliamentary recess. So who knows what tricks they'll try and pull before then. But given this government has consistently tried to do all kinds of stuff. Oh, Alan Page, good morning to you. Oh, Reagan Leak, good morning to you. But given this government has consistently, there we go, tried to pull this type of stuff, it's not too surprising. Disgruntled Brummy, good morning to you. Here we are. Got some morning ponies for you. Oh, I think they're all up and about, just waiting, raring to go. Oh no, there's the foal. I was going to say, where's the foal? There's the foal. There he is. It's because he's back to us at the moment, but never mind. Oh, anyway. Golden Boy, good morning to you from Germany. So, guten Morgen. Oh. So it's sort of weird because there's been a lot going on, but it almost feels there's a lot going on behind the scenes as well. Because I think that certainly the Tories know, they've got to go know that they're not in a very good position. So at least you would be trying to win back some sort of goodwill with the British public, but apparently not. The other thing that is coming up very soon as well is, I think, well, what's it called now? Oh, is it the Fair Renters bill, or the Fair Rent bill, something like that? Oh, good morning, Angry Pagan, good morning to you. So that could be interesting as well, to see how that passes or not. Crowban, good afternoon from a very wet Thailand. Well, good morning to you. It's actually somewhat quite dry, although I don't know if it might decide to rain, but it is actually quite dry, to be honest, for once, for quite a while. Like I say, I'm not wearing my wellies today, I've just got my walking boots on. So I think for the first time in a while, I think we should be all right. Not having to sort of slog through the mud, which is again quite nice for once, but hey, we'll see. We will see what happens. Oh. But it is, hey, I think a weird time certainly for politicking. Not as hot as Saturday, that's true. That's very true. Certainly not as hot as Saturday. Christoph, guten Morgen, bonjour as well, from South Germany. Well, good morning to you. Like I say, welcome to everyone watching. Like I say, please do remember to click on the like button while you are here. And like I say, we'll get underway because, oh my word. Haggard Shanks, good morning to you. Leah Grimes, good morning to you. So, where even to begin? Where even to begin? I think, to be honest, I want to go back, because we've already done the video this week about those import checks that are, again, in quotation marks, meant to be coming in October. I have said this since the very beginning. I do not think those will come in. I am getting more and more increasingly confident this will be pushed back a fifth time. Why? Because even the government, knowing that Brexit has sort of officially happened 7 years ago, well, no, almost 3 years ago at this point, if you want the official date, and of course the referendum happened almost 7 years ago at this point. So why on earth does the government not even have the requirements for what it wants to check for these imports? I am just flabbergasted that no one has them. It's an absolute shambles. The fact that you've got something so important, and I think I sort of highlighted it in that video where you had, I think it was the sea bream coming in from, I think it was China, I think it was, and they had to be destroyed because they had parasites in. Now that was a good check because they got something that was clearly dangerous out of the way. However, you've got to admit, we are now only currently checking a small fraction of what could potentially be coming through. These checks are about to expand massively, going to start causing even more delays and all kinds of stuff. So this is one of those moments where you're just like, what is going on? Just what are they even thinking when it comes to, had not realised, pony with foal. Away goes the pony. Off gallops the foal. Off gallops the foal. But oh my, honestly, I'd ask who's in charge, but I think the answer I'd get would be no one. No one knows what's going on with Boris. So yeah, tell you what, we'll go into Boris, because like I say, I'm just still flabbergasted that is still not something that should have been sorted out years ago, and yet we still haven't sorted it out. So much for being ready for Brexit after all that campaign that they did under Boris Johnson. Yeah, turns out the only people who weren't ready for Brexit were the actual government, who were saying, let's get ready for Brexit. It boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. You know, dear. I have taken my hay fever tablets this morning, but I might be, shall we say, full of the joys of spring again. So do excuse me if I just duck out of the way of the camera for a second. Like I say, oh, that's what happens when you go over a field. Don't know if you can see it. Paul San Camino, guten Tag. I don't know if you can see it on the camera because to me it's just an absolute sea of yellow, so I don't know how well, it doesn't look like it's coming across that well on the camera, unfortunately. But yeah. Oh, so Boris, what's up with Boris? Well, it's all to do with, of course, him handing over this information to the COVID inquiry. Now, he has essentially circumnavigated the COVID inquiry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Government buzzwords. Yes, you are right on that one. So, the COVID inquiry, just to catch people up, is obviously going to be kicking off very soon, or at least it might be delayed, maybe by a few weeks. It depends how long this judicial review takes, although I suspect it will be very, very quick, to be honest. But the fact that Boris Johnson has now circumnavigated the Cabinet Office and just given all this information straight to the inquiry is now like, oh, he's still causing problems. Still causing problems for Sunak. Ben Ridings, good morning to you. So the fact that he's still prepared, to be honest, to take on Sunak, just to defy him, I think is very telling. Because there's still rumours circulating that depending on what happens to the whole Partygate inquiry, because they've still got to report back on that. Depending on what happens with that, Boris might be safe. So if Boris is safe, he apparently, and again, this is all rumour at the moment, that Boris is going to insist he's brought into the cabinet. Now, if you are Rishi Sunak, the last thing you want is to have Boris Johnson back in your cabinet. But as we have explained time and time again, Rishi Sunak is about as strong as a sheet of wet paper. Boris for Child Services. Admittedly, that would be quite funny. Oh. But we'll have to see what happens there. Catho G, good morning to you. But it comes up to one of these points where you're like, if he's going to be doing that, if he's going to be engaging in that, and he's going to be in the cabinet as a minister again, well, first of all, what is he going to be? There's rumours that he might be taking the Dean Doris's position. It might just be Culture and Digital Secretary. And then there's also rumours that, well, he might just slack it all off again, like he did with any cabinet minister position, and just be there for the lols. But if Sunak really is going to put him back into a position if he gets cleared, then why on earth would you even do that? Yeah, sneaky Sunak might be outwitted by the bumbling Boris. Oh, I think Boris is going to outwit them all in the end. Really does look like that. How many miles do you walk per day? I don't know, I've never really counted. Nadine would be elected to give up a seat to a lover boy. Well, she's already standing down. Nadine Dorris, as I posted yesterday, is one of the many Conservative MPs who are just giving up their seat, saying, I'm not going to run at the next general election. And there's two big things I think we can see from this as to why they're doing it. First of all, some are actually doing it from a genuine position that their seat no longer exists. They didn't win the selection process. You lost your It's all right. I'm sure you can rewind. Oh, but there is a whole swathe of them who some are doing it out of genuine, like, yeah, I'm leaving because, well, I'm not going to stand because, one, my seat's not going to exist next year. So there's some genuine people who are going, yeah, I'm not going to stand next year because my seat's not going to exist. Boundary changes. I didn't win my selection process to win the seat, so I'm not going to stand. So there are some legitimate reasons why some of them, and I say some, probably very, very few of them are actually going, yeah, I'm not going to, yeah, that's why I'm not going to sort of do that. But the second reason, of course, like Nadine Dorris, prime example, is because they know the Tories are going to lose. So they're going, why bother? I don't want to run. I don't want to be in sort of an MP when we're in opposition because there's, shall we say, less goodies to be given out, by the party. Really, there's only sort of shadow cabinet positions. So it's not like, shall we say, even though he wouldn't probably be continuing it, because I highly suspect after the loss he will step down. Whoever is the next leader of the Conservative Party has very little mechanisms to actually keep the party in check and keep them silenced. So while at the moment, because the Conservative Party is so fractured, the right of the party is happy that Suella is, well, in there, being their Home Secretary, then it keeps them happy. But the problem is after a loss, after they're out of power, well then, first of all, you've only really got shadow cabinet positions. So there's only really a potentially 12 positions, roughly I'd say, actually up for grabs. There's no chairs, there's no sort of prime committee employments, there's no nothing. There's not even junior minister roles as well that they can dish out as well. There's only those shadow cabinet positions, and even those do not come, shall we say, with an increase in salary. So there's a lot of them going, well, why should I be minister for next year? But some of them are doing it very sneakily, because some of them can dodge out, engage in what will probably be an absolute open brawl. We're talking full blue on blue Conservative action, and that is for sure. They are absolutely going to tear each other to shreds post-election, certainly if they lose. So there is still a colossal chance that the party is just going to be embroiled in its own navel-gazing and will just not even be an effective opposition, which will be great for many, many things. And in fact, speaking of oppositions, obviously there's a whole thing with Keir Starmer at the moment and the green, what he wants to sort of invest in green energy and green infrastructure. And I really hope he holds his course on that. I really do. Because if he does hold his course, he will absolutely unleash a wave of investment into the country based on green energy, green infrastructure that we have not seen. You know, technically, the Labour Party is going to invest more into this than even America is with Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. So there is a lot of good things that could come from that. But of course they're worried about how potentially that's going to be played out in an election, because obviously the Conservative attack angle is going to be, oh look, Labour's spending money. Labour's spending money it doesn't have, etc., etc. Aren't they all very bad, and so on and so forth? Yes, and green steel. Yeah, that's the other thing that is actually I'm quite excited about, because I've said it numerous times. Decarbonising the steel industry is a massive step forward, something that we need to do, because it will secure jobs, it will protect the future of the industry, all kinds of stuff. So it will eventually, I think, open up massive swathes of opportunities. And even though the Conservatives wanted to, engage in levelling up, what Keir Starmer is currently proposing is not only what Boris Johnson initially sort of promised and talked about, but if it is done, and again, I hope it is done, and I hope he holds his course on it, but if he does do it, so much good, so much good this will do to the economy. And he was saying, one of the things that sort of does make me hope that he is going to hold his course, is he said that you can't hold back this type of spending. You cannot hold back this type of initiative. You cannot delay this anymore. So at least he understands that. But if he can obviously do that and hold his course on that, then yeah, we will have not only one of the greenest chancellors in Rachel Reeves, but we will have a party that will be even greener than potentially the Green Party. Although, debatable on that, of course. But yeah, it will be one of the best, I think, not only industrial strategies in the UK that we've never seen for years. It will be massive waves of investment, which this country has been crying out for, and yet the Conservatives have never done anything about it. And then, of course, you sort of thinking about the future. So this is all into sort of green technologies, green industries. This will be amazing if they can pull this off. I really, really do hope they can do. But even I know that, when Keir Starmer comes in, it's not going to be an easy job. And to be honest, there is part of me that it would be willing at some points to maybe cut him some slack, because this is a difficult position. And I think even if by some magical magic that let's say Corbyn gets in, or at least somehow Corbyn comes riding in, Corbyn would find it just as difficult as Keir Starmer. So, Labour coming into power, they've got a lot of work to do. And I've said it before, but Starmer, from day one, needs to deliver. He really, really needs to deliver from day one. And that's what he needs to work on. And to be honest, I think that it certainly seems that he's got a lot more talent on his sort of front bench than certainly all the Tory party combined at the moment. So yeah, cleaning up the Tories would be a heck of a job. Exactly. Owen Jones. Oh, he's going to be our next dictator. God. It's like for every good thing Owen Jones says, he says something that is like completely and absolutely, cuckoo for I can't even say it. He says completely Fruit Loopy. So, to be honest, I've really fallen out of love with Owen Jones. I think he used to be a decent journalist, but I think there's times where he just wishes that, he could write stuff and he could be listened to, and that, everything magical would all happen like he wants it to. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. In a bizarre twist of fate, I can see, if we do get a Labour government, I could see Owen Jones becoming almost the left-wing version of Richard Littlejohn, who writes in the Daily Mail. No, I really, really could see that happening. I really, really could. But I think other people have said it before as well. Owen Jones only seems to be happy when Labour are losing. And you've got a political party that wants to win, and if you want to make change, well, you've got to win. You've got to win elections. And we've had, the Corbyn try that in elections. And of course, as we always get, in 2017, oh my God, Corbyn won the biggest increase in the Labour vote that Labour has ever seen, but you still lost. Yeah, congratulations, but you still lost. There is no prize for coming in second place in our political system. It is winner takes all. And then, when they suffer one of the biggest election defeats that Labour has ever done, it's not their fault. It's someone else's fault. And it's just so infuriating because there's no self-reflection. There's no looking back on the 2019 campaign to see that it was just a complete and absolute mess. That, the free broadband thing was a perfect example. It was a good policy, an amazing policy, in fact, because you could have had free broadband and free internet access for everyone in the UK. South Korea does this, and they sell it as it's an education tool, that we do this because it is for the education of our people. Now, they're not selling, I think, the ultimate super fast whatever broadband, but this would be, again, of something that could go into public ownership, that money could sort of go into vastly improving the system. Because, again, if you speak to people in the know about the UK's sort of internet infrastructure system, just like anything in this country, unfortunately, while it looks good on the surface, you only have to scratch a little bit beyond the surface to find out that once again, the internet infrastructure in this country isn't that good, because it has been largely left, as always, to private interests who, well, have only acted in their best interests. You only have to go back to the days of broadband. And this is always my favourite story about when broadband was like first becoming a thing, when they were really updating sort of all these speeds, and Virgin had been given the contract to update all these all these speeds. And the thing is, what they were doing was they were only updating people to these speeds if only a certain number of people on that particular street were Virgin customers. So if you were like, I think it was less than 70% of people on your street were not Virgin customers, you didn't get the upgrade. You didn't get the internet upgrade. And that is how private companies have acted in the past with all this, infrastructure stuff. And if you want, again, another classic current example, just look at what's going on in the Freeport. The Tyneside Freeport, the flagship Freeport, the one that's meant to set the example for the rest of the Freeports. To be honest, the amount of corruption, the amount of sheer abuse that seems to be going on in there is unbelievable. And I still think that's all going to come out soon. I think there's going to be huge stories breaking about the level of corruption and just stuff going on in that Tyneside Freeport. Because if you've read and kept up with sort of the stuff that the Private Eye has been saying about it, the Yorkshire Post, Byline Times have also been doing stuff about what's going on up there as well. Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy. It is absolutely insane, some of the stuff that we're hearing. And rumours, the rumours. All you have to do is go look at some of the rumour mills that people have been saying, especially under like the Yorkshire Post and the Yorkshire Evening Post sections about it. If some of those rumours are true, then a lot of people are going to go to jail. A lot of people. But like I say, I'm not going to sort of repeat that kind of unsubstantiated rumour on here. But yeah, we will see. We will see what goes on and what happens there. But needless to say, the fact that that is meant to be their crown jewel, the Freeport that's going to prove that all the Freeports around are meant to also work as well. Yeah. Bear in mind, the technical of the Freeport isn't even operational and open yet. And yet we're already having this stuff. So, what eventually are going to be the economic benefits? Oh dear. I cannot wait till we get an impact assessment that just says, yeah, this whole Tyneside Freeport that, you built, it's not been of economic benefit. It's not been of economic benefit whatsoever. Freeport. So you really don't need any rights. You're a bunch of serfs. We need a review of the national AI strategy. That will make Alan Turing happy in his grave. Yeah, I do agree as well. I think AI does need sort of looking at as well. I think there's certainly a lot of good that can come from AI as well. But I also think there's potentially a lot of bad as well that can come from AI. I was actually at a conference, as you know, in Bucharest, and there was an IT expert there. And they were talking about sort of, internet security and things like that. And I sort of raised the question of how long do we get to a stage where you get sort of the attack AI versus the defensive AI, or are we already just there right now? So yeah, it's very, very. Oh, dear me, hold on. This is difficult now because I haven't got my wellies, and the cows seem to have widened the river. In fact, speaking of river widening as well, it looks like Russia's blown the dam. And before anyone says, how do you know the Russians have blown the dam? Well, put it this way. Let's put our investigative hat on. You are the Ukrainians. You want to retake your territory. And one of the quickest ways you can help retake your territory is by crossing the Dnipro River. Now, of course, at the top of that river, there stands a massive dam. Now, if you blow that dam, then your entire crossing basically just becomes almost unworkable. It destroys your infrastructure. It destroys your defensive stuff. So, from a tactical perspective, there is no advantage. There is no advantage whatsoever for Ukraine blowing up that dam. None whatsoever. But Russia, on the other hand, has everything to gain from blowing up that dam, because now this stops or at least defends another flank of your potential counterattack that you know is coming. So the fact that this potential dam, and of course both sides, are blaming each other. But to be honest, it's Russia that's done it. Let's not beat around the bush. It's Russia that's blown up this dam. They're the only ones who benefit from this. And yes, you're right. Yes, endangers all the Ukrainians living downstream as well. So why would Ukraine blow up the dam? The more you ask the questions about why would Ukraine do it, the more and more it points to Russia doing it. So it's just got to one of those points where it's just like, yeah, Russia did it. And to be honest, I think there's going to be intelligence that comes out very soon that's going to say, yeah, Russia did it. We already know that they've put stuff on on the nuclear power plant. They've actually put bombs on the nuclear power plant. So it's one of those bizarre things where it's, what does Ukraine gain from this? It gains nothing. Meanwhile, Russia, it gains a big advantage. It gains the win on that. Oh. How's this pony got through here? I don't even know if he's got through this. Have you just scooched through? I don't think you might have. But yes, You weren't here before. The Russians might not have to manage the dam properly. Oh no. As people are saying, people have looked at the footage. You can tell it was deliberate. Because a dam like that does not just fail instantly. It does not just fail instantly like that. That had to have been sabotage. And like I say, the only people who benefit from it are Russia, because it sort of secures then one of your flanks, because you've just made the river, which potentially in a Ukrainian counterattack of the Ukrainians potentially using that area as a river crossing, you've just made the river more wider. Water levels have been higher. Well, we know they'd opened it. As soon as because the thing is, all the control mechanisms for that dam are on the Russian side. So since they've had control of it, it's not just 2 weeks ago, they've opened the dam fully. This is one of the things that has been the constant worry about this, because the massive reservoir that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant uses to sort of cool the rods comes from that reservoir, and them doing that was causing big problems in cooling. And now you've blown the dam, there's still big questions about what happens to that nuclear power plant. So it really does go beyond the realms of, Ukraine didn't blow it up, Russia did. And anyone telling you that Ukraine did for reasons, well, all you have to do is ask them tactically, what advantage does blowing that dam get Ukraine? It doesn't get them anything. So, in fact, tactically, that also helps the Ukrainians, because now if you can't, the Russia will never admit anything, exactly, unless we actually get, as we've said, intelligence, which I highly suspect, it wouldn't surprise me if a couple of weeks' time we got like intercepted communications or something like that comes out, because that has been one of the big things that has been coming about from that. Not true, it affects water supply for Russia, occupied Crimea. As if Putin cares and Russia cares about occupied Crimea. Bear in mind, as the pro-Russia side will love to tell you, the Ukrainians blocked the river to provide some of that. It will also provide, water, or at least, the sort of the river that it created to do that was meant to increase, supply of fresh water to Crimea. One of the first things that Ukraine did after the 2014 annexation was to cut off that. So the idea that they have done that and they suddenly care about that, no, Russia doesn't really care. Russia does not give a damn, and it is done easily. I think one of the biggest man-made human disasters, I think what people are calling it, in history. And to be honest, if anything, this goes to show another reason. This is just yet another reason why, if anything, we should be stepping up support for Ukraine. Let's give them those fighter jets. There's stuff we could be supporting even more with Ukraine. I think we should be supporting them now to the hilt. This is a point, as we always said, Russia needs to be defeated here, because, as a lot of people have said, let's say this turned into a stalemate and there's some sort of ceasefire and Russia somehow gets to keep what it made, then it only really provides maybe a 10-year peace before Russia will just try it again. And that's what all the analysts are saying. We have to defeat Russia now, because you're only creating a situation where, well, now you have to defeat them in another year's time. There seems to be a scorched earth fallback strategy from Russia. Well, yeah, of course. We saw that. We saw that many, many times on this. Again, why though context? Because if you do that, that destroys one of Ukraine's main ways to carry out a counteroffensive. So why would Ukraine blow the dam to give up a massive tactical advantage? You know, you are destroying another angle of attack. So why would Ukraine blow the dam? Again, the more you ask the question of why would Ukraine do this, you can very easily see it's not this. Russia is coming from serious demographic problems. Yeah, very true. It doesn't only for about 3 weeks. Well, it's not just that. It's the entire area is going to be destroyed. It's going to be all sorts of stuff. Honestly, it's the more you ask the question, why would the Ukrainians do this? None of it makes tactical sense. So, no, it's Russia that's done it, and of course they won't admit to it. But I'll give it a couple of weeks' time before we find out, you know, that we've got intercepted orders or something like that happened, because that's what we've seen from this war so far. But yes, as always, thank you very much for joining me today on today's Good Morning Walk. Like I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do remember to click on the like and share button before you leave. And of course, as always, have an absolutely fantastic rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you on Saturday for another Good Morning Walk. And also, do remember as well, down below, Patreon page, one-off donation to buy me coffee, all that good stuff down below. So, thank you very much. Again, for joining me today. It's been absolutely fantastic. I think Labour Social starts soon-ish, so go join them. Tell them Ball Hat Man sent you, and of course, we'll see you all on the weekend.